Welcome everybody. On this scenario right here, I just want you to pay attention to this technique, right? And if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, do that now. Make sure you subscribe and follow me on every social media handle so that you can get used to my wingchun training, right? So what I just used right here is wingchun self-defense against your opponent that want to pierce you from your stomach, right here. But meanwhile, you have to notice how your opponent hold that knife. If your opponent hold a knife like this, hold it like this. So you have to know that your opponent is going to pierce you like this. Your opponent is going to stab you like this. So that is that. Because it will not be easier for your opponent to do this. So your opponent have to go for your stomach right here. So in order to be able to stop that, so you now go like this. So you just use this double hand right here. So and meanwhile, you have to a little bit move your body back right here so that can easily deflect your opponent's hand that is coming, right? So just go like this. So once you succeed in using that, so don't now waste time in order to now let this knife move out of your opponent's hand, right? You want to release this hand. You want to take this knife out of your opponent's hand, right? So that you can render your opponent armless, right? So you just go like this. So now go like this. So you just control your opponent's hand like this and use this place to chop your opponent right here. So you use your this head of your palm, right? Head of your hand right here to stab your opponent right here, like you chop your opponent. So you are going to create a painful hit, a dynamic hit on your opponent's vein right here. So your opponent's hand is going to fold at once, and this knife is going to fall out of your opponent's hand, right? So you just go like that. So go like this, go like this. So that knife is going to fall down. So now to not see that up, because you cannot leave your opponent like that. To not see that up, so once you succeed in quick this, so you just go with that. Sorry. So you just go with that. So you just move in quickly to punch your opponent or to make your opponent ugly. So that is that about that. So you just go like that. So you can now, you can chop your opponent's head off like that also. So because your opponent want to pierce you like that, so don't let your opponent go scot-free. Once you free that knife from his hand right here, so once you disarm your opponent, so you can now go for his throat, or you chop his head off, or you punch him. So you just go like that. So just punch like that, or you go like this. So just chop your opponent's head off right here. So you apply it on your opponent's throat, but don't put more pressure on that, because if you put more pressure on that, your opponent can stop breathing and you can pass out. So that means you have killed somebody. So and I don't want you to kill somebody. So you have to disarm your opponent. First thing you have to know is to know how to disarm your opponent hand right here. So you use this to stop his hand right here. So once you do that, so you have to go with this, and you have to do that in fast move. So you have to do that in fast move. So that is why you have to do a lot of training on that. So if you want to do it on fast move, just go like this. So that is that. Sorry. So just go like that. So you have to be faster. So sorry. So as you go, you just go like that. So you know how to use that quickly. Because once you slow on that, because your opponent won't pierce you like that and stay. So but meanwhile, your opponent can believe that because your opponent may attach a full force on that, so that is going to slow your opponent move. It's going to a little bit slow your opponent. So meanwhile, for your opponent because your opponent is going to think fast. So once your opponent use that, so your opponent is going to think fast. So don't let your opponent withdraw that hand before you go with that. Before you withdraw that, because if you are too slow on that, your opponent can easily draw the knife back and reapply it on another place like this. If you slow like this and your opponent won't stay, your opponent is going to go like this. So that is that. So but if you are too fast on that, so your opponent won't be able to go with that. So just go with that. Sorry. So that is how you disarm your opponent that hold knife against you, that want to pierce you downward right here, and you chop his head off, or you punch him to make him ugly, or you chop his head off. You apply on his throat right here, but you don't use too much force on that, so that you won't kill your opponent. So that is that about that. But I prefer you punching your opponent's face, because if you succeed in punching your opponent's face, you use 2 to 3 punch on your opponent. 2 to 3 punch, and if your punch is too dynamic, it's very dynamic on your opponent. Your opponent won't see you, even your opponent won't think straight. The only thing that your opponent can do on that, because if you succeed in punching your opponent's head, so your opponent is going to feel dizzy and fall down. In that scenario, if your punch is too strong, if your opponent is dynamic, your punch is dynamic and strong on your opponent. So once you succeed in punching your opponent's face, your opponent can feel dizzy and fall down on that scenario. So that is that about that. If you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, do that now. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me at the comment section. And if you want to join my personal online training, in which I'm going to be teaching you everything in full detail, step by step, and you are going to know more about my training, right? So just hit me up at the comment section, and I will be right here to send you the link to join my to make the registration and join my personal online training. And once you finish registration, you are going to start your training ASAP. So that is that about that. If you have any question, if you have anything, just let me know in the comment section. Thank you, and keep on training. Peace and out.